What's happening, guys? Welcome back to another video. I'm not sure if this one's going up on the main channel or the secondary channel, but nonetheless, we are going to get into this one. I have a 135 here in the garage that I'm currently building. I'm doing the 1M conversion. All of my OEM 1M parts have finally arrived. The majority of them are in the secondary garage. There are going to be a lot of parts included in this conversion. I'm also doing the 1M exhaust system, so some things need to change in the rear. We will get into all that later, but I wanted to touch on something else that I came across that I thought would be kind of interesting, because finding all of the information in one place was sort of difficult for me. Basically, in my 1 series, I do not want to run TPMS sensors now or in the future. I personally am fully capable of knowing when my tire is losing air or is flat, and I don't want to have to deal with the sensors or any sort of issues that might come along with them, including temperature drops and fluctuations in PSI. On my M4, this is probably something that I wouldn't really mess with, but on this car, the less electronics, the better, in my opinion. And I can also run different size tires at different PSIs and not really have to worry about it. This is something that I've noticed that a lot of the track guys do, as well as the guys who go to the drag strip a lot, just so you don't have to deal with the TPMS sensors. So there's gonna be a couple of different parts to accomplishing this today. One is disconnecting your RDC module. This could be in a few different places for different cars. Obviously, this is on an E82. I'm gonna show you where mine is, and then I'll also show you a couple of different places that it could be if you can't find it. But all we have to do is just disconnect it and leave it disconnected, and there are a couple of things that we need to code. I'm gonna show you what you need to code with Bimmercode, and then you will no longer have to deal with TPMS sensors, TPMS sensor lights, warnings. I like to just have a clean dash, and I just wanted to be able to solve this on my own without having to continually buy TPMS sensors for all of the new wheels and tires that I get. The second part of this video is going to be talking about brake pad wear sensors. Again, this is something that I don't really need the car to tell me when I need new brake pads. I'm fully capable of figuring that out myself, and I also don't want to have to continually buy new brake pad wear sensors in the future. So in this video is also a little method that I learned in order to trick the sensors into thinking they're infinitely good, that your brake pads are always going to be fine, and you won't have to buy new sensors ever again in the future. Again, on a car like this, it's a little bit older, it's like a project car, totally fine with doing that. On my M4 GTS, probably not something that I would mess with. I also want to say I'm not sure if this is going to work on every single BMW. I just know for a fact that it has worked on my E82 135. All of these techniques, however, are very simple and easy to do. So you can give it a shot, try it out. If it works, great. If not, maybe you just need to change something a little bit. But I found all of this information online in Beamer posts in the forums, a couple of YouTube videos, kind of compiled it all together to put it into this one video for you guys. Let's get into it. All right, so first things first, let's tackle the TPMS sensors that are in the tires that are to communicate with the car and give you overall the PSI of air that you're running in each tire. If we go into the trunk of my car, now like I said before, this could be located in many different places for different cars. I've seen some cars that have it right here on the bottom side of the car, so like right behind the differential, the little black box on the underside of the underbody. But the most important thing that you need to look for is RDC. When you find the RDC box for your car, maybe just Google it and look it up. That's what I did. And then I looked in a few different places and finally found it over here, which I'm going to show you in a second. Once you find that RDC module, you're going to go ahead and just unplug it. You need to leave that unplugged in order for this to be successful and no longer have the TPMS monitoring system active and the lights on the dash. So this is part one of it. So some of them have been located on the underside over here. Some of them have been located on the bottom of the car, under the plastic shroudings, inside of the rear bumper area, like underneath the tail light. Mine, however, was located right back here. I'm gonna pull this back piece off real quick so I can show you. This is the fabric and the right rear of the car, and then if we look back here, right there, there is a white plug. The wiring and plug is unplugged next to it. That is my RDC module. So this is where I found it, in this right corner area of the car. This is what it looks like, and it's just chilling back there, and this is how the car communicates with the TPMS sensors. Now, like I said, yours can be in another area. This is just where mine was located on a 2009 135. Once you unplug it, you just leave it unplugged and leave the module where it was, right in the back compartment. All right, so step one, you have successfully located your RDC module. You have unplugged it from the car. And now we're gonna hop into the car and I'm gonna show you guys what you need to code. In order to do this, I did it personally with Bimmercode. I'm sure you guys can do it with Carly or any other coding app. I'm just gonna show you guys what I used personally that worked for me. In terms of that RDC module, like I said before, it could be located in different places. I would suggest starting out by looking underneath the rear side of the car. See if you can find it over there. It's probably going to vary depending on which BMW you have. I saw a lot of mixed results online talking about where it was actually located, and the last place that I ended up looking was inside in the corner rear end area of the trunk. So, but once you unplug that, you can move on to coding. Up into the car here. Okay, so when you are coding with Bimmercode, you're gonna put the car into accessory mode. Today I'm gonna use this MHD adapter to do the coding, but you can use any other Bimmercode adapter, Bluetooth adapter, Wi-Fi adapter. This is just the one that I have in the car, so I'm gonna use this one. We're gonna plug it in down here in our OBD2 port. You guys know how that works. And so I'm basically just gonna run through and show you guys everything that I coded in order to remove the TPMS stuff from the car. Wi-Fi is good on MHD. Let's go ahead and open up Bimmercode. Connect 1 series, cool. So yeah, once you effectively do this, you don't need to worry about TPMS anymore. You won't get the error or anything on the dash. All right, so what we're going to do is basically you're looking for everything within the instrument cluster. All of the stuff that we're gonna be turning to not active will start with RDC or have RDC in the actual title itself. If you guys aren't comfortable coding things, I don't recommend that you do this. I'm gonna hop over to expert mode though, and that is where we need to be in order to handle all of this stuff. So the first category that I jumped into was 3000 right up here at the top. And then if you scroll down, you're going to see RDC display switch should be not active. If you have an iDrive screen, there are a couple of more steps, and I'm gonna leave a link down in the description to the post that I read through. I don't have one, so I didn't really have to worry about that. But the next thing that I went into was check control alive 3004. And inside of 3004 check control alive, we are looking for RDC alive. Turn that to not active. So once you turn those to not active, basically everything that has to do with RDC in the instrument cluster, you'll see it'll say code right up here in the top right. You're gonna go ahead and code the car, go through the process, and then you are effectively good to go. That's all you need to do. So what that is telling the car to do is turn off any display warnings, anything that has to do with the RDC. We have unplugged the RDC, and now we have basically turned it off from the instrument cluster. So you just don't have to look at that light anymore. I have been driving the car since I've done that for, I don't know, 100 miles, and I've had 0 issues with anything else acting up or being strange. From the research that I have done, this seems to be the way to remove it without it creating any other issues within the DME or the car itself. And just to show you guys that it does in fact work, go ahead and start the car up. I have my seatbelt unplugged, but you'll see that I have 0 lights on the dash, which is a good feeling in 151,500 mile N54 driven 135. All right, so now we have removed the tire pressure monitoring in this car. We don't need to worry about the TPMS sensors in our tires going bad. We don't need to worry about low pressure in the tires, and we certainly don't need to worry about the warnings coming up on our screen. We also don't need to worry about buying new TPMS sensors every time that we get new wheels or tires, or we change something outside of the spec of the tires that typically come on these BMWs. Again, I don't think that this makes sense on every single car. On my M4 GTS, I did not do that. That car has way more tech in it, and I didn't really want to mess with the TPMS system in that car because it works fine. There's nothing wrong with it. This car's been a bit spotty, hit or miss. I did have them activated for this car. They were connected. It was working, and then for whatever reason, it stopped working. I didn't want to deal with the issue anymore, and I know that I'm going to be changing these wheels and tires a lot, so this was an easy solution to that. I don't want to be creating excuses for people, though, in this video for people who want to cheap out or not buy TPMS sensors. I'm merely giving you guys an example of what you can do to avoid having TPMS lights in your car. Anytime I make a video like this, there are always people in the comments talking about how this isn't the correct way to do things and that you should just go buy the TPMS sensors and have them activated for the car. This is simply just an alternative method for people who do not want to run TPMS sensors in their BMWs. All right, so with that disclaimer, let's move on to the next part of this video. We're gonna be talking about the brake pad wear sensors. This also is a 2-part process. First, you need to locate your brake pad wear sensors. You're going to have 2 on the car. Front left brake caliper, right rear brake caliper. At least that's how it is on my E82. Again, before we get into this one, I have to put a disclaimer. If you are not comfortable with understanding brakes and knowing when it is time to actually change your brakes, do not do this. Go to the dealership, let them handle everything for you, or a shop, get new brake pad wear sensors, and let the car notify you when it is time to change your brakes. I personally am comfortable with taking that out of my car. I'm not worried about it. These are not my daily driven cars, and I personally am comfortable enough to know when it is time to change my brakes. I have an entire braking package coming for this car. It's going to be obviously an upgrade. However, I will never be buying brake pad wear sensors again. So once you have located your brake pad wear sensors, they are both going to be clipped onto the brake pads in the same place, front or rear. I'm gonna try and show you without having to actually take things apart because I've already done this and I really don't feel like doing it again. Oh, cool, I still have them here in the garbage. So this piece right here is going to be located on your front brake pad in the front caliper. And to give you guys an idea, it's basically going to be right back here and it's gonna be locked in just like that. It's going to be the only wire coming out of the top of the caliper. You will clearly see that this little sensor is going directly into the pad. What it's doing is measuring how much life is left in the pad. You'll see what I did here. I actually just snipped it, and inside of here are two wires. I believe both of mine were black, not that it really matters, but basically the way that this works is as those brake pads wear down, it removes the connection between these two wires. So we are going to bridge that connection. You guys can solder the two wires together, you can twist them together, use some electrical tape, however you want to do it. You're basically just getting rid of the sensor and stripping the two wires on the end, connecting them, and then tying them up. I tied mine up on the rear side of the suspension so it won't get in the way, but that was all I had to do for the front. Very, very easy. Same thing with the rear. However, the rear one will look like this. At least that's how it was on mine. Same deal, you're gonna go ahead and cut it, and then on the side of the wire that is exposed, you're going to strip and crimp those two wires together, tape them up, solder them, whatever you wanna do. Obviously cover the wires up so they're not exposed, and then tuck them away in a safe space. For the rears, I ended up putting it behind the plastic wheel well liner and just zip tying it up there so you never had to deal with it again. So what we have done is bridged the connection between the two wires, tricking the car into thinking that the brake pad sensors are just infinitely good. Now, the other thing that you could do is just buy new brake pad wear sensors and don't put them into the calipers. Simply just leave them out and then zip tie them up into the back or wherever you want to, safely away from the suspension or the wheels. So that is the first step. The second step is we need to tell the car that we have successfully changed the brake pad wear sensors. So the way you want to do that is you're going to hop into your car. Again, this is just how it's done on my E-Series. It might be different for you guys, but you're going to go into the service menu, and the way you got to do that is put the car into accessory mode. So once the car is done doing all of its BMW chiming and all that, you basically just want to have this up in front of you where it shows the temperature and your time and all of that. What you want to do is on the side, there is a little peg coming out right here. We're going to hold that down. Keep holding. This is the screen that we want. Let go. So once you are in this menu, we're going to go over here and toggle up to this right here. So this is the front brake pad wear sensor menu, and you're going to need to reset that. And the way to do that is you're just going to hold BC and it's going to say reset, and you just continue holding it, and then it'll finally go through resetting the entire thing. You see how reset came up on mine and it has a check mark? Well, that's just because I just did it. But what will happen is you can just continue holding this and a little clock will come up next to the reset, and it'll finally reset the actual front brake pad wear sensor. So you can see that I basically have another 25,000 miles until I have to worry about it again, at which case I'll just go through and do the same thing and just keep resetting it. I'm gonna go back to the service menu real quick here. All right, so now we're gonna go up to the rear sensor. And this is what the rear one looks like. So you see the rear says 60,000. That's because I just reset that one. But let's say I didn't. I was going to hold down BC, keep holding it. It would say reset, and then a little clock would come up and it would finally reset, probably up to 60,000 like mine. But those are the two that you're looking for. So again, all you're doing is you're holding down this guy over here, getting into the service menu, and then you're going through the options with this toggle over here until you find the front one and you find the rear one. And you're holding down BC and resetting both of those. That is what worked for me. Also, make sure that you don't have your e-brake up because that will say brake on. Typically, that light right there is what is always on if you don't reset this stuff and you remove those brake pad wear sensors. Obviously, we're gonna show you guys that I don't have that on this car anymore. And as we saw before, I don't have any lights on the car. All right, so hopefully that made sense. I just wanted to put all of that into this one video because I had to do a lot of digging around in different places to find the information that I needed for the TPMS sensors and the brake pad wear sensors, both of which I do not need nor want in this car. This is more of like a project car, and I know I've said it a million times, but I am comfortable with managing those things on my own. I don't need the car to do it for me, and I would like to have 0 lights on my dash. So hopefully this video helped you guys out. If you have any questions, drop the comments down below. I think that this is going up on the second channel, and this channel is going to be more devoted towards little DIYs like this. The main channel is more for like the builds that we're actually doing. But nonetheless, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one.